Hi, hello, happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. Why I'm starting here where there doesn't appear to be anything showing is that I'm under the impression that all the spudlets that were dropped in here have never germinated and probably never will. Maybe even rotted. So most of this report is what's not been done. Of course, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of flowers flowering in here. Tiny flowers, but they're flowers. And over here, all these are still, to my shock and awe, alive. I have not one of them died yet, despite being in less than, this one looks a little goofy. It doesn't look all that great. It's dark and it's almost feels like it was frozen. But it's still standing up on its own. Anyhow, so hopefully pretty soon I'll be in a position where I can get all these out. It's the same numbers last time. And get them all out and get them planted. So that, other than that, a little bit more growth on the avocado again, which they grow and stop and grow and stop on a regular basis, it seems, around here. Not a lot really has changed in here. That thing is probably growing another foot or so, and it's growing more branches, but for the most part it's just pretty much sputtering along. And there's a pun in that if you look at how it's said and spelled. And of course these are still flowering a little bit, but they probably need some phosphorus to keep flowering. Nothing in here has really done a lot more than it would have done. There's potentially a little growth on that one. That one got eaten out by a bug, destroyed, so oh well. It is purely by chance if they live or die. It's not like potatoes are guaranteed to grow just because you put them in dirt. So, and of course my spindly pear are growing like a bunch of weeds now. But if I don't continue to water them just right, they'll die like weeds and weed killer. This cactus is just putting on growth all over the place. And then the avocado trees are sagging over from their own weight, and the pecan is putting on growth just because it's alive and it's spring. So for the most part out here, not a whole lot of change, realistically speaking. And the babies have really, no shocking visual change for them either. I've been picking lots of mushrooms over here. There in the house and all processed. Like there was some mushrooms right here. I left a few in case they put on spores. And I left this pair to put on spores. Because you don't want to completely obliterate their reproduction cycle or you'll never get any more back. I haven't really done much in here to clean this out, but that's a big critical essential part of the program is to clean this out and use it to plant food in, plant garden crops in. Now up here, just notice the hose is up on the side because I did a trivial amount of work up here. I cleared this out, and these have both been threaded, so they're threaded down. You can see in a way that one's been warped and bent. It's still threaded, not very well, I'm sure, but the idea is that I'm going to be able to use that to anchor the top of the stairs. Plus you notice the height. A lot of things will be changed around here. to adjust everything accordingly to what's needed to give the best possible stairs. I don't know if you can see under here or not, but there are bits and pieces of broken concrete in there to level that, and it's over closer to this edge. So I moved that over and leveled it to have reference. Now, I don't know if this was even up here last Sabbath or not. And I'm not even going to say this is the only tool, because I realized I've got other tools to use along with this. But the idea is this 16-foot long piece here comes from wherever it was last at with a hole drilled, at least part way through it. Yeah, I can feel it on the other side, so there's a hole drilled through it. And the reason that matters is I can use one of them threaded studs now that's rebar studs, and I've got, where is it? I gotta go back over here. I know I'm about planned out, ain't I? I got these big fat washers over here, and these big fat washers, believe it or not, were part of a Chinese-made lamp. Both of these washers come from a stack of washers that were used for expressly their physical weight. And there's different sizes. This one's a little thicker, a little smaller diameter, a little thinner, a little larger diameter. And then 3/8, 16. And so what that will do by putting that down is that will keep the aluminum from deforming, disfiguring, and warping, so it won't damage it while I'm using it for a tool to measure. So it'll get bolted to one of those studs, and then I can use that as a measuring reference using a level and my laser. This box has a little laser in it, and then I'll probably go get another piece of steel that I've got down at the shop that I've shown before, but I'll point it out again today if I remember, that I'll use for measuring, because I got to get all my angles right. Notice I've got lots and lots and lots of cucumbers sprouting. Them are some vigorous little germinators. You heard the Terminator, well, there's the germinator. Kind of pun intended. These things haven't rotted yet, but neither have they ever fruited, so I'm not holding my breath. In fact, this one looks like, if I look at it real close, it's got the iffy look that it's potentially already rotting just a little at a time. So by next Sabbath, it might be that they're completely shot. Who knows? Hopefully not. Just depends on if Yahweh decides that he wants me to have this grapevine make fruit or not. And while I was so sure before that all these were basil, now I'm more convinced that that's Pennsylvania smartweed. It does not mean there is no basil around here. There's a whole bunch of teeny tiny seeds popping up that may be something useful. These little bitty seeds right here may possibly be a basil. I don't know. They may not. They may just be some other weed. Out of the 8 broccoli and cauliflower, that one over there that looked like it was going to die, and it may still die, but it's hanging on. It's put on a little growth. I hope I didn't sound like I said a lot of growth, because in retrospect it sounded like that to me, even though it was not what I meant to say. So, of course, our tiger lilies that didn't get frostbitten are doing all right, and then the ground cherries are doing pretty good, and this whatever this mint is doing pretty good, even though it's not necessarily edible. It's not that it's inedible, it just doesn't have any wonderful flavor to it that I know of. And then, of course, the wild lettuce growing along. It's about time for me to pick it, because otherwise I'll have missed out and it'll all become tough and bitter, and most people won't like it. It'll be stringy and stuff. Before I go everywhere else, I figure I'll go over here and take a quick look at the mountain bog gentian. It has been struggling against the deer and the goats, eating it for so long that it's amazing it's still alive. Now, one good thing about that pile of rocks being what it is, it makes it really easy to find it. It just happened to pick a really handy location to grow so that it happens to be easy to locate, being growing right in the middle of this face of rocks. So it's pretty good up in here at the moment. It's getting along. There were some other ones around, but I think the deer found them. One of the reasons I put the rocks around this was to actually mask it from readily being discovered. Mom says these are called bouncing bats. They could be. I don't know. Over here, you notice this is a touch-me-not. Well, there's one over there. So they're already sprouting. Everything is sprouting earlier than usual this year, blooming. I'm not upset by that. It's just kind of novel. Now, I went over here the other day and I sprayed all the poison ivy through here. It does not appear to have taken effect yet. Hopefully the stuff I sprayed it with didn't lose its potency sitting all winter. But I've been fighting poison ivy a lot. Now, the really, truly surprising thing to me, this genuinely amazed me, but I had an urge to come over and check just because something in my mind thought, well, you never know. And sure enough, let me get over here. To my shock and awe, this lilac and that lilac has somehow survived the goats. They've been over here and they've been bitten off repeatedly, but they've managed to live long enough to come back one more year. So hopefully I can transplant them somewhere, save their lives, and produce from them a better critter. What are you doing? What are you doing? You don't belong in there. Go on, get out of there, you little doofus. Oh, they've been in here a lot and they tore up my insulated panel quite a bit. See, they'd get in there and see how they bite through there. They'd get in there and do more damage if they could reach it. Unintentionally, I couldn't have dragged them in there to show you that, but they got there on their own. I don't know what this plant is, except that it's probably a legume, and it'll be flowering here pretty soon. Some here, some here. Don't know what it is, but it'll have flowers. And then, oh, look at there. There's a petunia already. So we've got a few wild petunias already coming up. Takes me, you'll see, every time I talk about a flower, inevitably I'll stop, take a whole breath while I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I completely forgot what this is I'm trying to talk about. And then sometimes it'll come to me, sometimes it won't. Be like it's a flower. It's a thing. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. This grapevine, I was worried it had died. It made lots and lots and lots of fruit, a year or two ago, and then it didn't. And then now it's coming back from the trunk, and that's fine. It just kind of self-pruning. So I'm kind of hopeful that it'll make more fruit, because it made some pretty good fruit in the past. Pretty good grapes. Oh, here's a whole bunch of those touch-me-nots in full bloom over here. They're going to beat the band over here, are they? Really nice. Just like a bunch of pom-poms. Some of the girls I went to school with were cheerleaders and tried to get me into cheerleading. I'm like, that ain't happening. But they had them goofy pom-poms, and that's what those remind me of. And then there's that yellow flower, I don't know what it is. The deer always seem to eat them off the ground level every year, or the goats. But they might bloom this year again, who knows. So yeah, the touch-me-nots are doing good. Whatever, those bouncing bats, some of the wild petunias, the daisies are, I won't say the daisies are in full swing, but they're doing pretty good. Watch out, here comes the wind. Yeah, got a particle of dust or debris in my eye just now. Ah, this tea rose, climbing tea rose, is just about to open up. That's cool. That thing here has been here forever. It's been here for a long time, and it's struggled a lot. There's a bloom that's, see if I can focus in on it. Yeah, that's one of the tea roses. So it'll be pretty open pretty soon. Then again, you got the different irises here. The white ones have pretty much finished their thing. And then these here really love irises. They're such a colorful thing. I wish they grew all year round as far as color. You know, they bloom in the spring and then they quit. It's like, well, phooey. Nothing I can do about that. And then of course, here's a more of a smaller bearded iris right here, different color, a little different mixture of layout than some of those around. Aim the camera away from the wind over here. Let's jump away from the irises a moment and see about around here. Now you notice the yuccas are going to be blooming here. They grow really fast. It's like tripled in length in one day or so. So they're going to flower pretty soon. Talk about garden veggies. I dug up the watermelons because they were starting to get like root rot. I got 6 of them out of 7. And it looks like that's all more I'm going to get. But I'll get them, hopefully, God willing, and get them put in the ground. I don't expect any that were on this side to ever germinate whatsoever. I'll put these down here again so that they'll get another cycle of rain. Same with the yellow raspberries. If nothing else, I'll just spray water in here. These lentils are just doing terrible, but they ain't dying, so who knows? Maybe they'll do something useful. And then the little pink tomatoes over there, some of the other tomatoes are taking form. I forget, I think there's like 15 seedlings now at this moment, not counting those that have sprouted and then died, just those that are sprouted and are still standing up at the moment. But then some of those might be cherry tomatoes and some of those might be smaller, like Romas or something, which is more what we'd want. These big ones over here are big, huge honker tomatoes, and that's fine, I guess, for canning. They're not good for daily eating because they got too much woodiness in them. The spuds, they're just about as happy as you could have a happy spud. They're flowering, they're big, they're just loving life. And I know some people, oh, flowers are going to make them not make good potatoes. A, there's no proof of that. People argue about whether that's true or not. And B, these usually don't even make fruit. If they don't get pollinated by a tomato plant, they tend not to make fruit, as a general rule. In which case, they just fall off. This purple tomato has not yet set any fruit. It might soon. And then, of course, the sage and its pretty little flowers makes me very hopeful. Of course, the garlic. I forget, the garlic somehow is supposed to protect some of these other plants from pests and stuff. But I can't remember how it works. Some kind of thing with the sulfur. So these two giant bulbous, snarly looking tomatoes on this thing, some are in really uniform shape and some are really not uniform. Really corrugated, so no telling. Last I counted, there were 7 fruits on various ones of these vines all combined, so generally speaking, they seem to be doing decent. Whether we'll get my money's worth out of them before the end of the year depends on a lot of unknown factors, though. And then getting over here to this bright yellow, almost golden iris. Sally. It's not got a really perfect bloom right now. It's in between blooming and fading. It's almost done for the year. And I don't see any more of them over here flowering. So, yeah. Probably all the more of that I'm going to get. Dilly Joe, what you doing? Sally, what you doing? Daisy. Notice how they've mowed the lawn. I mean, if you look at how this same grass on the outside is knee high and on the inside it's about ankle high. So they've really kept it mowed, which is food. What do you expect? Over here, this wild blackberry here is getting good at making fruit here pretty soon. I'll be picking those. The tame blackberry up there, I'm going to pick its flowers if it blooms so that it does not actually fruit. Looks like that little Rose of Sharon didn't make it. Looking at how well the big one made it and the other ones don't seem to be showing up, I think none of the little ones survived the goats eating them. The apple tree has a few apples on there, but they're really hard to catch in the camera, so I'm kind of like not gonna mention it, but I'm not gonna like go over there. Here's some more pale semi-bearded irises. Got a little bit of veins on the flowers. And then the dusty miller, which is looking really good. Again, I'm recapping every week pretty much the same flowers a lot of the time. As well, that's kind of where they're at. Sure, it'd be wonderful if there were more flowers every year, but eventually I'd run out of room. I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be a great quandary to have. But at the moment, it's not one I'm likely to have anytime soon. By the way, to branch from flowers, well, this actually was a flowering plant. I don't know if all those are seedlings or if they're rootlings. But I picked the stem of that and the leaves and the flowers off of that, and it's come back really good. I'm very hopeful that it's going to make something I can raise for a crop, because it is powerfully pungent. I mean, powerfully pungent. So it might be something I can use as a spice, no promises. We missed the peak of the blossom on this one peony. It was, about to fall face first. It was really loaded down. Hopefully it'll bear some seeds. And you see it's still got a couple more blossoms to go. Not as many as it had before the boys ate it, but hopefully it'll recover over time. We shall see. And the babies, what you doing? Yes. Cashew. Cashew and walnut are just learning to become noisy little beggars. looks, okay, these took a long time to come up, but little bearded, deeply bearded irises. It looks like the golden irises have already cycled through, done their thing, and have given up for the year. Now these pale yellow irises here are giving lots and lots and lots of blossoms at the moment, but they'll be gone in a week or so too. I wish irises had a longer bloom life cycle, because they really come in such a great variety of colors, and they propagate so rapidly. Bridal wreath finished last week. It is, I don't know if it'll make seeds, and it's done blooming. It didn't flower much this year. The tulips popped up and they went away, never flowered, so it's a shock they're even alive. And if they stop coming back, that'd be more of a expected than, put it this way, it'd be less of a surprise for them to not come back than the fact that they keep coming back, but do so pathetically as they go that it makes you wait, like, why they bother. They do. So I think there's a seed. I think there's an maybe not. So the filberts are growing. We'll just say it that way. They're growing, and hopefully the boys, well, the one boy, because the other one died, hopefully they won't be such a big threat to them this year that they can't grow up and make some good flowers and nuts and seeds. Obviously, unlike a lot of other flowering plants around here, their flower is not exactly what you call decorative. The purple coneflowers, we've gotten enough rain that they seem to be pretty happy here, especially on this side of the slope, because the moisture coming from up the hill piles up and then slowly administers down. So they get a pretty good amount of water in here. And as far as the acidity, the minerals in the ground are kind of forcibly neutralizing the tannic acids and other acids to make them into a mineral mix that the flowers can use. So in a way, it's actually beneficial to the flowers to be in this position. Looks like we've got one of the sunflower varieties about to open up on us. Black-eyed Susan or something like that. It's hard to say. These things are about to open up. Again, I don't know. They're part of the mint family, but I don't know what their name is. They've been coming up for the last few days. Foxglove or lady slipper or whatever this is coming up here. It's already in full bloom out away from this valley. So, and this, okay, that's a verbena there. And then this butterfly weed's been here for a long time, and it looks like it's going to do a really good job since they're perennial. It's got a good root base, and it's got a good nutrient base, and a good moisture base. And I see one Queen Anne's lace up there. Now I could probably go downstairs and show you the elderberries, but I just don't feel like it today. You see those little teeny tiny flowers in there? They're part of the wild lettuce family, and they're part of the Astraceae family, so in other words, part of the same thing as your fall aster family. They're all covering in there bright and yellow. These dog's banes are pretty close to opening up. They look like they're going to be a pretty good blossom for a few days. And of course the yellow coneflower, aka Mexican sombrero, I think that's the same plant, is going to come up here pretty soon. Again, they're relative of the echinacea, or pink coneflower, purple coneflower they're called. Anyhow, so they should be growing pretty quick. And let's see how this thing's doing over here. Oh, just lizards. I heard things rushing around. And you might notice I didn't point out just a whole lot of work being done because, well, a whole lot of work really wasn't done. Not a lot. I cleaned the shop up a little bit again, but you'd never know. Doesn't look any different. I mean, literally, it doesn't look any different. So, not much of that to show you. So, yeah, this is starting to come to the end of its blossom already. It had a good run, had a brilliant run, but it's a few days from casting off all its petals and being done. Again, then we'll have some of these coneflowers come in. The puccoons are already done. The bee balm are still coming up. Various other mints that are coming up here that haven't opened the flower yet. Ragweed's on its way. Of course, lamb's ear. And whether the gladiolas make a flower or not, won't know until they go. And so here you notice we got really good, vibrant bee balm going along. As long as we got good, strong rain, it should produce quite an abundance of plant and flower both. This is one of the sunflower seeds, sunflower plants, and it'll put on some small, some of these are actually black oil sunflower seed plants. I guess you could say black oil sunflower plant. Anyhow, I imported them and they're growing. They just took longer to happen than I expected them to. Other sunflowers that are out there, I'm not going to crawl through that today. I just don't feel like going through all that brush and stuff. You notice these daisies in here. This, before the goats were on it, wasn't this good. It was not as good as it is now. It is getting good growth on it. I don't know if it's because the goats were on it, because it was agitated, because the trees died and left more sunlight. I don't know. But right in here, there's been a lot more growth of a lot more plants. And some of it could have been hayseed. In other words, some of it could be that things that you're seeing now were just baled into a bale and came along with the bale. I don't know. Eventually, I'd like to expand this out to many more square feet. Many more, because being bigger will make it more accommodating. Having more area to have under fence will make it more valuable for holding even a single goat, let alone multiples. On the other hand, since it may be forever before I get the greenhouse built, seriously considering fencing in the whole area of the greenhouse project, at least on the short term, for rush feeding of get in there and see all the cedar and the green briar and bush in here. If I can get that all fenced in up in here, the idea isn't to just let them sit in here and eat the place right off to the ground. The idea is to put them in here every now and then and just eat off the easy pickings. And, put them in there for a day or two, maybe 3, move them back out to the other field and just let them come through here and munch away on a lot of the stuff that's otherwise completely useless, like greenbrier and stuff, little walnut tree seeds and stuff, and just clean it down. And since I'm pretty sure they won't eat bee balm right away because it's such a pungent, oily, almost poisonous level of plant, that'll be like one of the last things, hopefully. The two things they'll probably ignore the most is bee balm, which is very seasonal, and then the cedar trees. And if I can get in there and get the greenbrier and other things eaten back, then that will give me room to come in and collect the bee balm in a way that's meaningful. And then over the winter, when there's nothing but cedar trees, I can just let them sit in there and eat until the cedar trees are cleared off, because left to themselves, they'll eventually devour every speck of the cedar tree if it's the only thing left to eat. So, kind of, the old term, brush goats. Well, that, at the moment, is pretty much everything. And the Russian Lesbideses, I forgot to mention those. They'll be flowering. They came up here for the first time this year, or maybe the second time over the years. Anyhow, there's a lot of them, and so they'll flower quite a bit for a while. They'll get up pretty big, and then when they're really big and they've gone for seed for a while, I'll throw them over the fence because the goats will eat them like nobody's business. So that's pretty much everything, which ain't much, but again, if nobody's interested, that's fine. It's just what I've done or what I haven't done or what I'm in the middle of doing, pretty much. And everything seems to be getting along. So, hope y'all have a very prosperous rest of your Sabbath, and so we prosper, well, spiritual prosperity. Not necessarily financial, of course, just spiritual. But anyhow, and then financially and prosperous rest of your week, and maybe spiritual too, because, well, you shouldn't just be on the Sabbath, you should worship and revere God all the time and stuff. But just generally, everything, if everybody has it well, and we'll see y'all next week, hopefully with more exciting news than this week. So bye for now. Shalom.